While others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
We celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Tashir Zameda.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Mud podcast. While others celebrate the wins,
We celebrate the mud. We're coming to you from the Barrel Lounge in the Mall in West Village. I'm Alex Kuman.
and I'm Drew King, and today we have a super fun treat because we have a dear friend of mine that has come on to the show for us and doing a huge favor in full drag, the incredible, amazing Cacophony Daniels.
Hello, how are you?
AKA Courter Simmons.
That's right, I'm both.
Yes, I know. Split personalities, honey.
What?
Okay, you look fucking amazing.
Thank
Incredible.
you very
Look
much.
stunning.
Incredible.
I love
Thank
this
you.
dress. Where's it from?
Thank you. Oh gosh, where is it from? Ooh, you know what? It's from a Dillard's outlet.
That's Dillard.
Okay, so I was doing a show in North Carolina, near Asheville, which I hope it's still there, but I don't know if it is anymore.
Yeah.
And there's Outlet Mall, which was just like kind of any other outlet mall, except it had this like Dillard's clearance center, and like everything in there. These shoes were also from there.
I mean, they're
Everything
beautiful.
in there was like 99 cents for this dress. It was like the kind of place where they send everything when they can't sell it anywhere else.
Until you show up.
Until
and you're
I
like,
showed up.
Cacophony
Buy
would
it
love
I
to wear that.
absolutely 100%.
Snatch.
100%.
Snatch it right up.
Yes.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
Exactly. I love a
Incredible.
bargain.
It also looks beautiful on this yellow couch.
Oh,
So
good.
It all actually all worked out
I
perfectly.
Fantastic.
very much did.
I love
Hey,
it.
It looks so
Oh my
good.
God.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So Courter and I met
How
each
do you guys know
other
each other?
this past summer doing Jersey Boys
Okay.
out in
Yes.
Sacramento
Yes,
with one of our former guests, Donnie Kerr.
Donnie Kerr?
Donnie
Yes.
came on the show as well.
Yes, I
Yes.
saw
Yes.
that.
So Courter and I met doing Jersey Boys,
Mhm.
and you have done Jersey Boys many times.
Many.
Because you were in the original Broadway company.
I was not in the original Broadway
But you-
company.
oh, okay, got it. The original touring company?
Yes.
I'm screwing it up. The
That's
touring
okay.
company.
That's
but then you
okay.
transferred over to the Broadway company.
I did eventually
Yes.
transfer over to the Broadway company.
Okay.
Yes, after 5 years on the road.
5 years on the
Yeah.
road. That is insane.
Yes. So I knew exactly what Frankie was talking about when he was talking about living his life on the road, because I literally did for 5 years. My husband came with me.
Oh my God.
Our 2 cats traveled with us.
Wow. Wait, how long would you be in each city?
We were lucky because it was a first national, and because Jersey Boys at that time was the
It was, like,
huge hit.
The hit.
It was the hit. It was before. I mean, it was right after Wicked. Wicked was like the hit right before us.
Yes.
So it was right after Wicked. It was the like
Before
they called
Hamilton.
it the Cadillac of tours. Yes, before Hamilton, before Book of Mormon.
Oh wow.
It was like
okay.
huge. So we would sit down at least 3 weeks in every city, but usually
Great.
way more than that. Sometimes 3 months in a city.
Wow.
And we would have at least 3 days to travel in between because we had 17 trucks. And so
That's
it took
insane.
all the time to get everything everywhere. So we had enough time to, like, my husband came along, the cats came along. We could drive between each city. Our
Oh, take
longest
little,
drive.
like little trips.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Our
that's
longest drive
ideal.
was Seattle to Houston that we had to do in 3 days, and that was insane.
That's a lot
That's
of driving.
that's so much.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
what,
my
probably
God.
20, 25 hours?
It was even more than that. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Because after we closed our show, I did the drive from Sacramento to Denver.
That's right.
And that was about 19 hours.
Mm,
So,
long.
wow.
That's unreal.
Okay, so you've spent a significant chunk of your time doing Jersey Boys.
I did.
And this is what I love about, we're going to touch on a few topics today. I
Mhm.
think primarily the biggest topic we wanted to chat about, especially considering inauguration last week and the political climate that we're currently living in,
Mhm.
is the bombardment of anti-drag legislation that's
Sure.
coming out.
Mhm.
However, we
Mhm.
also wanted to talk about a little bit about masculinity within the
Yes.
business, within the
Yes.
drag world.
Mhm.
And the fun fact that I love about you, Courter, is that when you do Jersey Boys, you played a ton of characters.
Yes.
But probably the one that you played the most is the character of Frankie Valli.
Yep.
And Frankie Valli is like such a macho guy's guy.
Yeah.
He's Jersey. And like his following and people who love him just look up to him because he's just like, he's a guy and he sings and he's Italian. And so I love this juxtaposition of that you play that role so seamlessly and perfectly as like a dude's dude, and then you can also waltz in here and look like this, and you also play it seamlessly and look gorgeous.
Thank you.
So I love that play on masculinity and femininity, and that you get to dip into all of it and play with all of it. How exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. Frankie might think otherwise, but
Here, we'll
Frankie's
tag
not
him.
here.
Yeah, we'll see what he has to say.
Frankie's not here.
I love it. But yeah, so you have this do you have this dual career going because you work a lot in theater, film, TV as an actor, but then you in musical theater, but then you also work in nightlife and entertainment as a drag queen.
absolutely.
So do you like one more than the other?
Oh gosh, each one has its own benefits and complications. The grass is always greener, right?
Yeah, right.
When I'm doing a theater piece or a film or a television, whatever, those things, all I have to worry about is my performance.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to worry about the costumes, the wigs, any of those things. I don't have to worry about publicity.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about how many butts are in the seats.
Yeah.
I just have to show up and do my job.
And do the job.
But someone else is telling me what to do,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I have to audition for that job
Correct.
against thousands of other actors who also want the job just as much as I want it.
Correct.
I have to follow a script, which I love a script, don't get me wrong, but like I have to do exactly what I'm told, stand where I'm told, sing what I'm told, how I'm told,
Yeah.
all of those things. On the drag side, I'm creating my own thing.
Yeah.
So I can sing whatever I want. I can wear
Yes.
whatever I want. My hair can be whatever I want, the dress, the makeup, all of those things. I get to make all of those choices, but I am in charge of all of those things.
Well, you're the producer, the director, the choreographer, the music
marketing
director, the marketing team. You're
all
everything.
of that. So then
Yeah.
I'm on social media trying to get butts in seats, trying to get people to pay attention, get to my
Well,
show.
we
You
will
know
be there
all about
tonight. We
this.
will be there tonight.
Oh,
I will be
fantastic.
a butt in the seat tonight. I cannot wait to see you.
Yay.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. So there's the two things of each.
Yeah. It's
each
wonderful
one.
though. Yeah, it's like you have like a little bit of stability, security where you can like take a back seat, and then you also get to like take charge and have autonomy over your career and your creativity.
Yeah.
And getting to play with both of those is really exciting.
It is. It's really
I
fun.
love it.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in.
Okay.
So I want to talk about anti-drag legislation.
We love anti-drag. She's my favorite aunt.
Anti-drag. Hello, anti-drag. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you actually, first and foremost, how long have you been doing drag?
I've been doing drag and getting paid for it since 2017. So
Oh,
that
so this
makes
is a new.
I mean, relatively, that's 8 years ago, which
Yeah,
is insane to me.
wow, it's
kind
flying
of,
by.
But yeah, it has flown by. But
What got you into drag initially?
so I mean, I feel like just about every young gay experiments with drag a little bit. Wearing mom's heels around the
sister's
house.
Makeup.
Exactly.
Yeah, uh-huh.
We've all done, Halloween in college. I definitely tricked.
Oh,
every
I
straight
Sex
boy
in the
at the party.
City.
Yes.
Charlotte.
Obviously.
Yep.
Oh, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I see that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
You're a
yeah,
Charlotte.
yeah,
You
yeah.
actually remember the episode where they put Charlotte in drag and put a mustache on her and photographed her?
Vaguely.
You kind of look like Charlotte in drag.
I
You
should,
should be
I should
reviewed-
take
you
the
should take
college
that-
photo and then take that shot of Charlotte and
Yes.
put them next to each other.
Yes, you absolutely
Yeah.
Oh my
should.
God, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. So that all happened.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, when I was in college, we used to do this show for the incoming freshmen. The theater department would do the show for the incoming freshmen, like come to the theater, take an acting class, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'd put on this like variety show that was whatever the students wanted it to be.
Mhm.
And this was 1997, the year Titanic came out. So we did a Titanic sketch where I came on stage in drag and lip synced to My Heart Will Go On
Oh my
as
God, I love
Celine
it.
Dion.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Incredible.
Yeah.
At my Catholic college. And I had one of my acting professors came up to me after it and was like, I think this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
what are you talking about? I'm an actor. I'm not going to do drag is ridiculous, stupid. And now here I am.
And
So,
here we are.
but yeah, so that, I mean, that's not really the start of it, but
No, but it's
yeah, it's kind of an
it's always
origin
been
story.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, the seed was there
Yeah.
for sure. And then, after being on the road for a really long time, coming back to the city, being unemployed, and looking at, okay, what can I do? What are my strengths? What's going to get me in the room now that I've been gone for a long time? And, I had some pictures in drag, and I sent it to my agent and was like, hey, if drag stuff ever comes up,
Yeah.
submit me. And I'm thinking like, Mary Sunshine, kinky boots, which I don't even think was a thing at that time, but, lacage, things like that.
Yeah.
Rocky Horror, and so my agent started submitting me for things, and I actually started getting some work, or at least appointments from like doing things. And I was like, oh, this is something that could, I should explore this because it's something that can make me money and like widen my skill set.
Yeah.
Then I met my friend, someone who is now one of my best friends in the world, a drag queen named Sutton Lee Seymour, which best drag name ever.
Amazing drag name.
And she was like, hey, I'm hosting this drag live singing competition at Barracuda. You should come and enter it. It would be fun, whatever. So I did, and I won.
Of course, because Courter's voice is
Is it unreal?
fucking believable. It's insane.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind.
It's amazing. Of course you won.
And so then she was like, hey, I'm going to just call you every once in a while. And, if you want to come do a guest spot at my show for $50 or whatever. So I started, dropping in as a guest at her shows every once in a while, whatever she was doing around town. And then she was leaving town to go to Puerto Vallarta, which she does every winter. And she needed someone to host her Monday night Broadway-themed show. And that was the week that Jersey Boys was closing on Broadway. And at that point, I was in that company. And I was like, well, I'm going to be unemployed. I might as well.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So
I
did that on a Monday night and then closed Jersey Boys that week and then continued doing that, hosting her show while she was gone. And when she came back, the bar said, we like both of you. Will you both stay? And we said, sure. Which then gave birth to an amazing friendship and collaboration. And we do great stuff with each other. We tour all over the world and we do all kinds of great stuff.
You two are fantastic together.
Thank you.
So delightful.
We are.
And tonight is you and Paige Turner?
Tonight is Paige Turner and myself.
Paige Turner.
Yes.
Another great drag name.
She's like, yes, great drag name.
That's a great.
And she's like a New York City institution. She's
She
been doing
is.
this since
Yes.
we were all in diapers.
I love it. Okay, so now we have to talk about anti-drag on anti-drag
Yes.
legislation.
Yes.
Which also kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with anti-LGBTQ legislation
100%.
that's coming.
Yeah.
That's
That's-
coming into play.
That's what it's about.
And when I first had the idea for this episode, I pitched it to you before the election because I was like, oh, I want to have this episode because it feels relevant now. And then, come election Tuesday, Kamala's going to win and then this is going to be irrelevant. And here we are.
Isn't it funny what we were all served this story that she was going to win because that's
Yeah.
all we wanted to see.
Felt like it.
Yes. Yes.
So, fortunately for us, unfortunately for the world, you are here now to have this conversation.
Yeah.
About the way that drag is being quite literally dragged and criminalized
Yes.
and painted in such a blasphemous, horrifying, criminalistic, pedophilia way.
Yes.
It's all so deeply misrepresented because at the end of the day, it is simply another art form.
Yep.
And as you've said, as many of other drag queens have said, drag is not a crime.
Right.
So how do you feel right now as a drag queen, knowing that I know that there was a big push for a lot of anti-drag legislation in 2023, and then it kind of backed off this past year because of the election shenanigans.
Right.
But at the moment, it's illegal to do drag in Montana and Tennessee, and there are other states where it's pending.
Right.
So.
And I want to clarify, it is. I don't think it's illegal to do
It's banned.
drag.
It's banned.
It's banned as far as like public performance in certain kinds of venues.
Correct. Yes.
And I think that, first of all, it's important. Something that I'm learning right now about our current political climate. It's important to know exactly what the rules are, so we don't start pre-obeying rules that don't yet exist. Because one of the things that the current administration is going to do a lot is sign an executive order and, well, that's the rule now. And that's not true. That's not how our Constitution
That's not how it
works.
passes. Correct. Exactly. It's a
That's
lot of
not
scare
how.
tactics.
Exactly. It's a scare tactic, and it's a way to think, oh, well, drag is banned in Montana. Oh, well, I can't go to Montana. That's not true, right? We can't start, oh, well, they're going to ban it, so we're going to stay away. No, we have to fight those things. We need, if we need to, especially to stay safe, we need to follow the letter of the law. But that's all we have to do is follow the letter of the law, which, by the way, the letter of the law is often absurd. I don't know if you've all heard about this whole thing with Trump signing the executive order about two genders.
Two genders.
Correct. Yep.
And gender at conception, which, hello, at conception, all humans are female. So this executive
You are
order,
right.
So this executive order from Trump literally declares all of us as female. Hello.
You better fight back, Courter. Courter.
So there is
you
nothing
are the
wrong with me
exact
wearing
person we
these
need to
clothes.
have.
Let's get you a law degree.
I'm
Exactly.
sorry, like, and
Okay, Elwood.
yeah.
Yes.
So like, and that just shows the absurdity of these
Yes,
kinds
exactly.
of
Yes.
And the
Because-
lack of depth and research
Yes.
into what they're trying to do.
Right, because what it comes down to is that you cannot really define gender.
Mhm.
You can talk about gender norms.
It's a construct.
It is.
Yes.
You can talk about gender norms. You can say, well, girls don't usually, boys don't usually, but that's just the thing. They don't usually, but it doesn't mean they don't ever,
Mhm.
right?
And don't usually also takes into account the way that we condition boys and girls
Right.
from the start, and that if we didn't
100%.
condition them that way, then they usually would do
Who knows?
who knows what.
Who knows?
knows? Who
And
knows?
of course, there are the reason that things like generalizations and stereotypes exist is because, sure, a lot of people fall into one category or another. A lot of boys happen to gravitate toward monster trucks. Fine, but I know plenty of women who love monster trucks too.
Yeah,
And so
there's so much in between that we are dismissing and ignoring and trying to erase.
Right.
And that is deeply wrong.
Right,
Yeah.
which is what I think the drag bands ultimately wanted to do. I mean, really, of course, the point behind all of those things was not to. The people passing those laws worried about those things aren't really worried about children being around drag queens. They're looking for headlines and publicity, and they're going after an easy target. And easy targets are minorities, and people who do drag are a minority
Yes.
in our society, as are queer people, as are people of color,
Yep.
as are people coming from other countries. I don't want to say immigrants because there is a spectrum of those too,
course,
right?
yes.
So, so it's easy to go after those targets and say, look at those others, they're causing our problems.
Correct.
Which is what all of this anti-drag legislation is. It's trying to grab headlines, grab attention, away from what really needs to happen at the government, at every level of government, which is policy that helps people's lives, their
Yes.
everyday lives.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that the people who pass this legislation or propose this legislation that is anti-drag, they don't have any ideas that can actually make people's lives better. The policies that actually make people's lives better are the ones that they often stand against. Things like food
Healthcare.
stamps, health care for everyone.
Universal pre-K.
Exactly. All of these things, housing assistance, all of those kinds of things. Those kinds of things are popular things. Anti-gun legislation, popular. 70% of people want common sense gun legislation, but they can't talk about those things in Congress or whatever because, the gun lobby or blah, blah, blah. So, but let's talk about the drag queens. When in reality, first of
All
all,
deflecting.
who's encountering drag queens in their everyday life?
Especially not those guys.
Exactly.
seriously.
They're not coming to the drag bar.
Yes.
I mean, some of them
Some of
are.
them are.
Which is
Yes.
also
Which
the
is the
problem.
other thing.
There's the internalized homophobia.
We saw those JD Vance drag photos.
Oh, I mean,
know?
come on. And that's the thing, too, is that drag's been around forever. Ever since, cave people decided that certain genders were certain things. One gender dresses as the other one for entertainment. That's what has happened.
Yeah.
Milton Berle, Bob Hope, Rudy frickin' Giuliani. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan's first film was a war film in 1942. I
Uh-huh.
can't remember the name of the title, but there was this whole thing about keeping the boys' spirits up. Look, these guys are going to do a show for their compatriots. And it was a drag show in the military starring Ronald Reagan.
There you go.
And it's
The hypocrisy is
yes.
astounding.
Yes.
So what we need to understand about all of it is that it's not about drag. It's on the surface. That's the very surface level of it. What it's really about is distraction from the real issues that affect everyday people's lives. That's
When are you running for president?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
You are laying it down
Let's
and
go.
starving.
No, I'm sorry. If Kamala couldn't win, I sure couldn't.
Oh, I know. What a day.
We'll get there. We'll
It's-
get there.
You were absolutely correct. And so much of it is deflection and fear tactics.
Yes.
And that if we can scare people into voting this way or distracting them from the actual real issues that politicians can't actually solve, then people will rally and there'll be a tizzy. It'll make the headlines. That's the thing. I think it was something about 2023, there were over 500 drag bans that were proposed nationwide. Almost none of them actually came to fruition.
Right.
Thank God.
Right.
But because, again, our system of checks and balances. But I feel like a lot of the damage was done.
Sure.
Yeah. And I feel it's such an attack on the queer community. It's also an attack on art. It's an attack on freedom of expression.
Yep.
And then to also take this art form and then say, oh, you're grooming children, or it's inappropriate for children. And one of the questions I threw to you in the spreadsheet was, how come people are trying to say, and there's a lot of people who are spinning this narrative, that drag is it's too adult and it's like a sexualization of certain characters, and it's not meant for children to see. But on the flip side, I mean, I've been seeing like tits in movies since I was like a kid. And, you know, watching Pamela Anderson run on the beach in Baywatch and shirtless David Hasselhoff and, you know, and then
Everything.
all these other
Music,
things. And video games are so
video
deeply violent. So why are
games.
we not campaigning against those things? It's because they're heteronormative.
Right.
And they fall within the norms of what people feel comfortable with.
Right.
But the second that it is a man dressed up in woman's clothes or a woman dressed up in a man's clothes, it's like, wow, people
Whoa,
like
can't
melt down and they can't
compute.
compute it.
Right.
And the biggest thing that's been attacked lately was the Drag Story Hour.
Drag Story Hour. And that's because Drag Story Hour is something that is specifically marketed to children.
Yes.
And the thing is that the people who see drag as only a sexual thing, they don't understand that drag is, that playing with gender is not just a sexual thing. The people who say, well, drag is sexual, they only see gender non-conformity in a sexual way.
Yes.
And it's because, I mean, who knows why? I'm not a psychologist, but I feel like they can't separate those two things. They can't separate playing with gender and sexuality. They have to bring those two things together, when really, of course, we know that's not true. Kids play with gender all the time.
All the time.
And lots of kids, you know, and I joked before about little gay boys putting on their mother's heels or whatever, but lots of little boys put on their mother's heels and don't end up in drag.
Or gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
And lots of little girls put on daddy's work clothes and don't end up lesbians and all of the things like that. And who cares if they do? Of course. But playing with gender, understanding those things is really important. I have had the opportunity right now to interact with a 3-year-old. We're foster parents, as you know, and my husband is fostering a 3-year-old right now. And it's interesting to watch someone that age think about gender. You know, my son is 18.
And how old was your son when you adopted him?
When we adopted him, he was 11.
He was 11, that's right, okay.
He's 18 now. He is queer as the day is long, and I should say they are, because they are exploring their pronouns at this point, so I need to be better about that. Sorry, honey. And they sometimes like wear earrings. They have their ears pierced, sometimes wear earrings. They like to wear pastel colors, all these things. And the 3-year-old is like, you're a girl. Like, it's just like that. It's already being ingrained in him, first of all. But second of all, he questions it. And then, you know, he might see like, I'm changing my clothes, I take my shirt off. You have boobies. You're a girl. Well, but I'm not. And I'm not dressed as a girl in any way in that moment, right? I don't have boobies. I just have pecs, whatever. Right. I have nipples, which is, you know, right? And it's this thing where he's still trying to figure it out. And kids are constantly trying to figure that out. And so I think the Drag Story Hour thing is a healthy way for them to explore that.
Yeah.
Well, because they're figuring it out without judgment.
Yes.
It's curiosity-led,
Yes.
not judgment-led.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, most of the kids have no idea what's going on underneath the skirt. They just like seeing a pretty princess.
Yes.
You know, how often does anyone, unless they go to Disneyland, dress up in a big, beautiful dress with sparkles and glitter and wigs and all of that kind of stuff? They just want to see that. It's not about the gender of the person or their gender expression or any of those things. It's just about seeing a larger than life personality in gorgeous, sparkly, whatever, reading a story to me. It's like a fairy princess. It's like a fairy godmother, whatever. It's not about the gender of the person.
Well, Dolly Parton, who has,
Amen.
She's famous for having her library and such, but she used to read a lot herself as well. And of course, everyone knows her as like Barbie. She's a big Barbie, but she has like her large chest and the big hair and the costumes. And she herself is essentially kind of a drag queen.
Yes.
And
She's
she
even
has
said
an
that herself.
Yes, she has an anecdote talking about when she would read to kids, that the kids would just flock to her.
Yeah.
And they loved her, and they would follow her around everywhere. And it was because they loved the earrings and the hair.
Yep.
And the makeup and the dresses and the heels. And they just were enamored with her because you're right, she was the larger than life personality. And kids are drawn to fun, shiny objects.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and especially if you're going to read them a story, how delightful.
Yeah.
And so it is infuriating to me that like something that is, you're right, like getting kids to kind of just be like, oh, who's this person reading this story to me? Oh, I like this story. That's fun and flashy. It really is so deeply innocent, but then it's now being painted as this like disgusting, awful, evil grooming tactic, and it's so upsetting and so absurd and such a slap in the face to the queer community and of course to performers and artists like yourself. So
I think I was going to say this before too, because there are some people that are, I think a lot of people also just haven't been exposed to drag in a way that they can understand it, and so are
100%.
being told something by either people within their political party or outside of their political party that they go, oh, well, then this must be it.
Right.
So can you, to someone who has never seen a drag performance, did not grow up around an environment where it was, what are some things that you want people to know about drag that if they have had no exposure to it?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, it's just playing with gender. That's really what it is. Playing with gender in a larger than life way. And that, on every side of the spectrum of that, playing with, quote, men dressing up as, quote, women dressing up as, quote, men, and everything in between. That's literally all that it is. It does not have to be sexual in any way. I think that a lot of the idea that drag is sexual also comes from our like puritanical society, our view of things, and frankly the fact that for a long time drag did have to be hidden and secret, and the only times the public would see it was when a group of men in drag were arrested at this bar because it was a gay bar, and they were,
Absolutely.
and it might not even have been men in drag. Some of them might have been men in drag, but some of them might have been trans women in an era before hormones and surgery and all those kinds of things, right? And so it's ingrained in us as a society to see, oh, well, they're dark, they're hiding, it's sexual, they're doing something wrong, they're breaking the law, right? And representations in, even in film and things like that, it's either as something funny, some like it hot, or Milton Berle or things like that, right? Or it's something kind of deviant. If you look at like Divine in John Waters' films, which hilarious. I love Divine. She's amazing, but she was also doing things like eating shit on camera, literally, right? Which is disgusting and was designed to be disgusting because that's John Waters' whole aesthetic.
Exactly.
He wanted to gross out the audience. And so people have this in their minds, their, general media association with what drag is comes from those places, which is places that it's wrong, it's bad, it's illegal. And for a long time, drag was illegal in a lot of places. Wearing, you couldn't walk out of there were all the rules. You couldn't walk out of your house without wearing at least 3 pieces of clothing that were assigned to your gender, right? And, and so if anything is illegal, of course people are going to hide it. People are going to run from it. People are going to be ashamed of it because they don't want to lose their jobs, their families, their friendships, all of those things, right? So it's like a chicken or egg paradox. It's bad because we said it was bad. We said it was bad because it's, it's this kind of, this whole thing where it's not inherently bad. There's nothing inherently sexual or dark or deviant about it. It's because it's been put there in the past that we think of it that way. And so if we just think of it as fun. Now, are there drag queens who tell dirty jokes, who sing, sexual parodies, who do all those things. Of course there are.
Of course, yeah.
At any level of entertainment, you will find those things. That's why movies have rating systems and television shows have rating systems.
But that's happening at gay bars.
Yes.
Or late night entertainment venues. People aren't doing those performances at drag story hour.
Absolutely.
No.
That's not happening. It's
100%.
simply not happening.
100%.
Yes.
And to assume that a drag queen can only do one kind of joke is like assuming that any performer can only do one kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get pigeonholed a lot as like a dirty sex comedian.
Right.
Because I dare to like speak about my body.
Mm.
Do I have lots of dirty jokes? Absolutely I do.
Sure.
But my biggest pet peeve is people being like, oh, wow, like you really go for it. And it's like, because I talked about having an IUD.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how is that?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Don't bring your...
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm fine.
Yeah, is there a little mud there too? Yeah. Well, no,
fine.
but I think we talked about this a little bit, but I think what most of this comes down to is misogyny.
Misogyny and our puritanical belief system.
Absolutely.
Where this country was founded.
Yes.
And, yeah, patriarchal systems.
Yes.
And the fact that, none of this...
Right, yeah.
None of it is about the thing that we're talking
Yes,
about. It is
right.
about, yes,
Yes, I
misogyny.
mean, so you not talking, like, especially when you're doing a comedy show, which, hello, it's comedy. But when you're doing a comedy show, not being able to talk about a function of your body
I just did
because you're a woman is ridiculous.
I was doing a show recently and was given a list of things I'm not allowed to talk about.
Ugh.
And fine, whatever. It's like a more corporate leaning thing.
Sure.
But on that list, it was gun control, the climate change, the war on Gaza, and women's health. Not abortion, women's health.
Women's
the full
health.
umbrella
The full spectrum
of women's
of it.
health.
So,
Do you know
like-
what wasn't on that list? Men's health.
Of course not. Men's health wasn't on that list.
No.
No, you could talk about penises all you want.
all you want, yeah.
But oh my God, that woman over there has a cold. No, I'm
No.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's women's health.
That's women's health, and we don't allow it here. And I was like, I had so much tension in my body about taking the show or not.
Of course.
It's exactly that. It's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Tell me I can't talk about why?
Yeah.
I understand. I even understand if they're like, hey, maybe don't bring up abortion. Like
Mhm.
maybe I get that's like
Sure. It's a touchy
it's a
personal
touchy-
issue.
Very touchy.
touchy personal issue. Fine. Women's health.
Yeah.
Women's health.
I'm sorry. 50% or more of people in the
Yeah.
world have a vagina.
Yeah.
They do.
So it's exactly that. It's like it's this system that we're living within.
Mhm.
That's
Well, have you and I like part of the mud is when you think about it, and this comes down to so many things. It's all misogyny. When you think about like these drag bands, did they ever mention drag kings? Did they ever talk about women putting on men's clothing? And I'm putting all that in air quotes. No, of course not. Because the politicians or whoever, they don't even think. Do they even think of women as real people? I don't know. It's just like the bands, the thing that's there's a billboard in the town that we live in upstate, and it's one of those electronic ones that changes between things. But one of the things that pops up since the election is over, it used to pop up with a Trump ad, but now it pops up with this like keep men out of women's sports thing, and I'm just like,
Oh, God. Okay.
it's just so ridiculous. But again, the bans on trans people in sports are never about women being on men's teams, quote unquote women being on men's teams. It's always about quote unquote men
It's the reverse.
being on women's teams. It's always about that. And it's about the assumption that the only reason anyone would want to look like a woman is because they want to abuse those women, because they want to take advantage of those women.
the bathroom
whole
in
bathroom
in
ban.
Congress, the bathroom bans, and
Yep.
wasn't that part of the executive orders
Yes.
as well?
Yep.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we're all
so
women
pointed,
now, so we all
too. So
Yes,
pointed.
so pointed and ridiculous, and at the point when we have our first openly trans member of Congress serving,
How dismissive.
yeah,
Like that,
And-
exactly.
and-
like that's
A direct-
exactly
a direct
like
attack.
insulting, absolutely 100% insulting, and ridiculous. And no one, I don't think that any of those people, I'm sure that Marjorie Taylor Greene has walked into a men's room when the line was too long for the women's room.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
100%.
Of course she has.
No doubt.
And, it drives me nuts. And it really 100% comes down to how, like, the deeply rooted misogyny in our culture and how absolutely ridiculous it is that, well, you wouldn't dress like a woman unless there was something wrong with you. I'm sorry. What about the half of the population who dresses like a woman every day because they are one? What's wrong with them?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And it's devastating because there's just this sweeping movement to like eradicate inclusivity.
Yes.
And, trying to eradicate DEI principles and, saying there's only two genders, making sure that the men's bathroom is the men's bathroom and the woman's bathroom is the woman's bathroom. And that's all that you can do.
Remember the old days when there was Ally McBeal and they all had one bathroom? Remember that?
Ally McBeal, the dancing baby, Ooga Chaka. Oh my God.
It was an all-gender bathroom on that show.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
It was.
It was a big. It was kind of a thing.
It was
but it was also like there were. I remember all these think pieces. Is like, is the all-gender bathroom the thing of the future? Look at Ally McBeal. It just makes. First of all, it makes sense because it's just a bunch of stalls. It's just like again, when you're on an airplane, it's an all-gender bathroom. There's not a women's and a men's.
Yes.
I've been to there was a concert venue that has an all-gender bathroom that I was at recently, and you could see the absolute terror in the men's faces. Women were thrilled,
of course,
to get in and out.
Yes.
And it was all stalls, and you get out, and there's just a big sink, and you could just the fear of, my space is being challenged.
I know, exactly.
And it was like, we're not looking at your dick.
No, and even if, who cares?
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, those same men will go to, a baseball game and pee in a trough.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Literally. Absolutely. It's just so preposterous, everything. And all of these, like, the constant attacks on the queer community, on the transgender community, and then now on the drag community. It just feels so deeply absurd. And one of the other things I mentioned in the notes was why, like, we're focusing our energies in the wrong places.
100%.
That, like, there was this whole lawsuit that came out of Los Angeles County last year where the Los Angeles Archdiocese had to pay out over $880 million to confirmed victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse at the hands of clergy members. Now, where people aren't picketing the churches.
Where's the
They're
outrage
not,
there?
nobody's saying, fire that guy. They're actually instead firing that guy and then moving him to another church and then not tracking them as sex offenders. And then there are thousands of other cases nationwide that have been proven to be legitimate and are still under investigation or have just fallen by the wayside. But then we're spending all of our time and our energy and efforts on drag queens reading books to kids or drag queens performing in a 21 plus space at a bar or wherever it is. Like, we are focusing anywhere on the streets, like on the subway. Perform drag wherever you want to be. It is your right to be doing so. It is an art form. And it's a play on gender. It's play. It is play. And we are focusing our energies and attention on the wrong thing and villainizing the wrong people, which infuriates me.
Yeah.
Because why are we doing this?
Misogyny.
Misogyny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, it makes me so angry.
It just pushes against the establishment that's been in place for so many years.
100%.
Pushing against the norms. It's even the education department and the comprehensive sex education that's being rolled back. That's the work that I used to do before I did all my comedy stuff. And to me, that's one of the many hard things that are happening, but essentially not allowing any of these kids to have any exposure to the fact that, hey, what you're feeling is normal and okay, and however you want to identify is how you want to identify, and instead just truly, it's so wild how much we're just rolling back.
Well, I don't think we as a society are rolling back. I hope that what we're seeing is the last gasp
Yeah.
of
Ooh.
Yeah.
the conservative, puritanical. They're pushing. And here's the thing: if natural law dictated all the things you're saying, then you wouldn't have to pass actual laws about it. It would just exist. It would just be as you think it should be, right? But of course, kids are people. They need to learn about their bodies, about sex, about all those things. Or you end up, I'm sorry, where are there the most teen pregnancies? In the South, where they don't have those things. Where are there the highest STD rates, the highest HIV rates? All of those things, STI, I'm sorry. All of those things are down there because, they're not getting an education. Keeping people in the dark does not keep people from...
No, not talking about it.
And resources are being stripped away.
Right.
Yes.
And that's actually kind of the argument against the give the law back to the states. I mean, there is a reason why we have a lot of federal laws is because there are people nationwide in all 50 states and territories that need to be protected by these laws.
Absolutely.
So it's actually unfortunate. Yeah, of course, if you live in New York State, like you're going to be fine. But if you don't live in New York State and you live in the Bible Belt or any of these other areas that are underserved when it comes to education, you're fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those have repercussions for the rest of your life. If you get pregnant at 13 because you didn't know any better and nobody told you what to do, you're fucked.
Or like your previous guest who contracted HIV when he was 16.
He was 16.
Right?
Yes.
What was his education?
16.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio sex ed.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Ohio.
What are some of your favorite things that you've gotten out of your drag community?
Amazing friends, first of all. Amazing friends. I have people who are so close because we all have similar experiences. We've all, had to get dressed in a closet or a basement or whatever with, holding up our phone light to a compact mirror to try to do our makeup.
Oh my God.
We've all been there in the trenches with each other and seen, the messy customer and the ridiculous bar manager and, all that kind of stuff. So we have this camaraderie. It really is like a sisterhood. And it's the people that I've gotten to meet, but working with them, but also, I mean, the people that I get to entertain. It's so much fun. Listen, there's a reason why we're all entertainers, is because we get something out of that. And I, a big part of at least performing in drag at a bar or something like that is interacting with the audience, and not just like during the show, but I walk around before the show. I talk to everybody and how are you this week? How you doing? What's going on? After the show, let's take pictures, let's hang out, whatever. It's less like being a performer on stage and more being the host of a party almost. And so you get to meet all kinds of amazing people who you never would have been exposed to, because it's just people who choose to come out one particular night. It might be, we live in New York City, so it could be tourists coming through who, oh, well, we'll walk into this bar. I don't know what's happening. Oh, there's a drag show. I guess we'll stay and watch. And then all of a sudden they have this experience they didn't know they were going to have. So it really is about the people. It's also about, messing around with my own gender expression. One of the reasons I started doing drag, we talked about my singing and everything. I play Frankie Valli. I have a high voice. You can hear me speaking. And, what? What's that? And there were a lot of times, especially when I was first, in New York auditioning, trying to break into doing, musical theater stuff in a larger way, where I think people just didn't know what to do with me. Because that voice coming out of a boy didn't work. But that voice coming out of a woman, all of a sudden it makes sense and it works. So I've gotten to play with that and express myself and sing the songs that I want to sing that are, who doesn't love singing The Man That Got Away, but people accept it more when it's coming out of this than when it's coming out of the, 5'4", former twink. So...
Which we know now. We did a full review in our last episode.
The categories.
The twink, twunk, all of those things.
Twink, twunk, bear, otter.
Wait, we didn't get, what is twunk?
Twunk is a hunk meets a twink. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a jock is what I would say, right?
I would call a twunk like a twink who like goes to the gym and like gets muscular. Is what I would say.
Okay.
You know, like yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, sorry.
we all try to be twunks. Actually, that's not true. There are some people who are like, oh, that's 5 pounds. I don't want it. But yeah. So like, so playing with my own gender expression and my own, you know, it's interesting. I think when I'm myself and not Cacophony, I am not the kind of person who wears a blouse to a special event or has my ears pierced or gets my nails done a color or anything like that. And not to say that I'm masculine. No one who's met me would call me masculine. But I don't feel the need to do anything sparkly, over the top, quote unquote feminine. And I think that part of that is because I do that here.
Yeah.
I express myself in that way, in this way. It's like it's compartmentalized.
Yeah.
Which is joyful and wonderful. And a lot of people don't get to do that.
Yeah.
You know, just play with all of that.
Play.
That's so interesting. And I wonder if that is also at the root of the anger around it.
Yes.
Is this
Yes.
I see that you get to express yourself fully, and for whatever reason, I don't get to do that.
Come
So
on.
I don't like you.
Yes, exactly. You don't think Lindsey Graham wants to run around?
Oh,
Lady Graham.
Exactly.
Little graham cracker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you know, Rudy Giuliani got to do it, you know, and like, and there is something really, anyone who's done any kind of drag, you know, in either direction, there's something really liberating and freeing about it. And, you know, RuPaul has talked about it a lot too. Like, everyone should just do drag once and not like, you know, just throwing on moms, whatever. I mean, that's fun too. But like, really get done up and go out.
Yeah.
And like, just live and like see what comes out of you.
Yeah.
See what happens.
There's a lot of, a lot of my friends who do drag express similar sentiments that there is a part of themselves that they can let out while doing drag that they don't otherwise get to express.
Yes.
Which is beautiful. And you're like, I love that. Yeah. RuPaul saying that is that everyone should be able to experience what that feels like.
Yeah.
Because it's safe to have a different facade and then let other things come out of it.
Yes.
Because you're hiding behind something instead of this. The way that I let Drew looks right now, I carry that throughout every single day of my life. And so doing performing or being a different person that is contrary to how people perceive me is scary and dangerous. But if there's makeup and a dress there, then Drew can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yes, exactly. And it's like it's like being able to speak with another voice that people won't necessarily take too seriously, which is wonderful. And so I want to talk about that, and then I want to go back and talk about one other thing. But so, like, I've often thought drag queens can say lots of things that other people, because we're kind of like court jesters in a way, even more than stand-up comedians are. Because stand-up comedians, even if you are playing a character, you're still yourself as that, right? You have to walk outside with that face, and you know, so and I feel like it's drag queens and puppets, especially Muppets. Like we can. That's why Avenue Q worked and was so great, right? Because can say things that other people cannot get away with, that I would never say in my life. So there's that. I also, going back to your question about like what are the things that I like the person that Courter has become because I've been Cacophony. I've never been the kind of person, I'm outgoing and all those kinds of things in a group of friends or with the cast of a show or any of that. But like in a bar or in a public place, dance club, especially gay male spaces, I've always felt very, you know, I want to be a fly on the wall. I want to, you know, hang out in the corner. I don't want to do that. And it's my job not to be that. It is my job to entertain everyone, to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
And there was a point when I was doing drag so much, you know, like literally every week doing it because I didn't get theater work for a while. And I was doing it all the time. And I found myself walking into those spaces with the confidence that Cacophony had, and was like, oh, I could do that now too. I could just walk in here
love
and be
that.
fun and walk up to a stranger and be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
You know, I can do that. And if they don't like me, whatever, they can turn around and not like me, whatever. But I can be that, the parts of me that want to come out when I'm dressed like this, I can let those parts out selectively in those other spaces too, and be, is it more myself or more the kind of self that I want to be when I'm out in those places? I don't know, but that's something that I've gotten from her, which is really nice.
We hide a lot of ourselves in very many different ways, and very few people get to let out and fully realize who you are capable of becoming. And drag queens are doing that.
Yeah.
Drag queens are chipping away at that, and most people are not.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It's truly amazing.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, like Mama Ru says, we're all born naked and the rest is drag. It's all, I mean, all those men wearing suits at the Capitol, that's drag too. They're putting on a persona.
Yeah.
And sometimes their real personality comes out and we see who they really are, and we don't, we don't like it, we don't want it. And then, then we elect Trump, who has told all of us exactly who he is. And somehow we still elected him. Jesus.
We have to.
I hate that
we have to wrap it up. But one last question I want to ask before we
Yes.
do our little rapid fire.
Yes.
For anyone who is interested in trying drag or wants to get into it and just doesn't know what the first step is, what is for whether you're in New York or you're in the middle of Alabama?
Yes.
What's the first step?
I mean, the first step really is the internet and the community of people that are on there, whether you're on YouTube or TikTok or, any of those other platforms. Finding a community of people is really important. Many, 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 many people start doing drag because they have a drag mother, someone who can help initiate them into all of the things, teach them all the things they need to know on a one-on-one basis. Now, you can find many things on YouTube and all of that. You can find all kinds of stuff. But just doing it by yourself, you're losing something in that. It really is like any communal art form. It really is about passing things down to people. And so find yourself a drag mother. Go to the drag shows. Everybody, go to your local drag show and support those queens.
And tip your drag queen. Bring cash or bring a phone so you can Venmo. Tip your drag queen.
Yes.
And where can we find your drag shows?
Oh.
If you're in the city of New York.
If you're in the city of New York, or really anywhere.
Or anywhere.
You can find me at Cacophony Daniels. That's my handle on everything. CACOPHONY Daniels. Literally every social media platform I'm on there, except for X, because screw him.
Yes.
And maybe, I mean, I don't know if I could ever, for business reasons, get rid of my meta things, but we'll see. But I'm on everything there, and also at cacophoneydaniels.com, where you can find merch as well. I'm in New York at Musical Mondays at Rise Bar every week, and when I'm not there, it's because I'm performing somewhere else. Like next week, I'm going on an Atlantis cruise, and I'll be performing there,
Exciting.
which is super fun. I'm doing 2 of those this month, so that's great. And so if you can't come to me, maybe I'll come to you.
I love it. I also just very quickly want to say before we jump into rapid fire, you probably know the show as well. There was a show on Max, formerly HBO, called We Are Here, which is exceptional. They have 3 seasons. The premise is they take drag queens. There's 3 drag queens, and they put them in small town American towns, and then invite people who are queer. They invite somebody else to put into drag. So maybe a queer teen will have her farmer dad get into drag, and it is deeply, deeply moving and so special. I think that they are doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely.
I love that show. Give them every Emmy that they possibly can. They've already won some. Because it shows community there is community wherever you are. If you are in the middle of America and you think that there is no queer community for you, there is. You can find it, and you can also build it yourself, and you can find queer safe spaces. Watch that show. It is exceptional. Watch it. I can't recommend it enough. I cry every
Everybody
episode.
cries every time.
Every episode. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Okay, so rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Let's
go
do it.
as quick as you possibly can.
Okay.
Here we go.
Super rapid. Here we go.
Okay.
Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Ooh, what kind of party?
However you want to answer it. Correct. Correct. Next question.
love you. Oh my
Next
God.
question, sourdough or wheat?
Sourdough.
Name one of the 7 dwarves.
Sleepy.
How many hours of sleep do you need?
8.
Say good day, mate, in an Australian accent.
G'day, mate.
That's beautiful. Okay.
that.
Fill in the blank. I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings.
Down.
Favorite female pop vocalist?
Jennifer Hudson.
Would you rather swim in a tank of poop or scorpions?
Hoop.
Okay. If you didn't have acid reflux, what would your favorite late night snack be?
I fucking love you for knowing that. Barbara's cheese puffs. The not the baked kind, the regular ones. Oh, they're so
it.
good.
Okay. Kill, fuck, marry modes of transportation style.
Ooh.
Car, subway, bus.
Ooh. Marry the subway, kill the bus, which means fuck my car. Sure.
Fuck your car, honey.
Fuck that car.
Porter,
Unbelievable.
that was so
was
delightful.
dynamite.
Thank you for being so articulate and educated
Oh,
and
thank you.
passionate. And that's
You nailed it.
what we need that episode to be.
Thank
It's
you.
So beautiful. Thank
Hey,
you so much.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And everyone, we love you all. Thank you so much for listening. Please take some time and like and follow and subscribe. Like Courter/Cacophony and come see shows.
Yes.
And thank you all so much. We love you. Have a good day.